Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Tracy Malone, the founder of NarcissistAbuseSupport.com. Today, I am going to cover a subject for the people who are going through a divorce with a narcissist. If you're going through a divorce with a narcissist, it's a battle that you could never have imagined. And my guest today, Paulette Rigo, is going to talk about working with a coach, not only with a lawyer, but working with a coach and how it saves you money, gets your answers better than with a lawyer. Lawyers have their role and coaches have a role, and many people don't understand the two. So I asked Paulette to come here and talk about this because, well, we're both coaches, but at the same time, this is just a misconception that, coaches are for the rich people or, I don't have the money for that, and I don't see the value. My lawyer says I don't need one, right? Let's talk to her and figure out exactly what a coach in divorce is going to help you with and how it might save you money, certainly some headaches, and definitely some emotional turmoil. So let's go meet Paulette. Welcome, Paulette. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, I'm honored to be here, Tracy. It's always fun to spend time with you.
I know this is our second podcast slash video.
I know, what do we call that? An encore.
Yes, I like that. I like
It's my dance background coming in. So
I bet it does. That sounds like a dance thing. So let's start by sharing with my audience a little bit about you.
sure, I'll try to make it short and sweet, but buckle up. I was born and raised in Boston, lived in Belize for 3 years, but now I live in Atlanta. So that's the where. Um, the the why is, unfortunately, I went through an 8.5 year fully litigated divorce case that included a 12-day trial. Of course, there was 2 years of preparation to even get to that point of starting the normal, protocol, shall we say. And then after the judge came back with his decision, which took 9 months, I could have had another baby in that amount of time. My ex-husband did not like the judge's decision, so it was appealed on 17 counts, which went an additional 4.5 years in Supreme Appellate Court for the state. So, because of that rarity, it hold your horses, everyone. Don't panic. Like that doesn't happen to most everyone. So 97% of cases do not go to trial. And of the 3% that do, only 1% of that three go to appeal. So it was very rare. And so, what happens when good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster? More and more people kept reaching out to me with, hey, what's going on? But it would always end up with, can you help me? So, fast track with that, did a tremendous amount of education, training, certification, interning, mentoring with my attorney back up in Boston with his guidance and tutelage. Not that he trained me per se, I didn't mean to insinuate that, but guidance and support with that. I founded Better Divorce Academy, became an ADR private credentialed mediator and a certified divorce coach. And I'm also the director of coaching and case management for a company called Divorce Right, which is an HR solution, more like the business solution to divorce, not the personal solution, whether you're mediating or you really need somebody to go through high conflict cases. I specialize in trials, so because of my personal experience. So that's a little bit about why I would possibly want to do the work I do. I never wanted to be an expert in divorce. And by the way, I don't really consider myself an expert, but sometimes that label gets thrown at you, right? So I wanted to be a journalist. I went to college for journalism, got my degree in communications and speech communication journalism, worked in TV, radio, media. I taught ballet for 20 years, performing arts overall. I ran the children's division of Ford Models. I was a birth doula, a lactation consultant, a yoga teacher trainer, a macrobiotic chef, and Ayurvedic consultant with yoga teacher training. So that I know a lot of women. I just named off all these things where like a lot hang out with a lot of chicks, right? So that's where the reach kept from. Like I've known women all my life because I hung out with tutus, and tiaras and little girls that so they get married and then they reach out and say, not all of them. But the propensity of it kept happening. So that's really my why and a little bit about why I went through that. Although I believe in love, I believe in marriage. I'm actually happily remarried 7 years now. So I escaped the cold weather and I love living down here in Atlanta, although it's been cold and I've got long sleeves on today.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I'll be out of a turtleneck for the next 5 months, but you can wear your long sleeves today.
Thanks. I know.
So today we are going to talk about the importance of a divorce coach in the process of divorce and how they help people. Uh, there's a big misnomer. A lot of people come on and go, I've got a therapist. I don't need a therapist, right? Let's just start with a coach versus a therapist, and then we'll kind of get into how you know, how coaches work.
Sure, great question. I too get that a lot. Um, whether I'm just having a brief, casual conversation with the divorce professional, like a judge. I've had a few conversations with judges like, wait, what's a divorce coach? In fact, in a case where I was coaching a client, it was a trial and she had to go up on the stand for her, you know, interview evidence, being on the witness. So they were going through her domestic relations financial affidavit. And of course, one of the things she had placed on her expenditures was a divorce coach. And the judge stopped the questioning and said, I'm going to try to bastardize my Southern accent. Wait, what's a divorce coach? So, and I'm sitting in the 15th aisle, not because I'm not an attorney, nor do I play one on TV. So, and I didn't know whether I should cry, scream, or laugh, or raise my hand to go, yeah, that's me. But anyway, hi, Jess. I remember this like it was yesterday. The client's name is Jessica. So it was eye-opening to me, like, wow. And this was many years ago, that there needed to be so much education. Now, when I had gone through my divorce, Tracy, my attorney, Martin Kane from Boston, he said to me, well, you should be a divorce coach or be a mediator or something. And I said to him, wait, how come I don't have a divorce coach? Right? I mean, was a fair question, right, Tracy? Like WT, whatever letter comes after it. That doesn't seem fair. And it was kind of new, I mean, I'm thinking 9, 10, 11 were sort of the
Yeah.
precipice. And mine kind of started in 7, 8, 9. So I kind of missed it. But by the time my divorce was over in 16, well, and back in Boston, there was a lovely woman by the name of Deborah Block, who had been one of the first divorce coaches that I knew of in Concord, Massachusetts. And she was kind of stepping out of it. And he kind of introduced us. And she kind of said, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And then I also met a lovely Adina Laver, was another beginning divorce coach. And I really mentored with like, oh, look at the problem they're solving. So to answer your question, I learned the difference between a therapist or a mental health practitioner or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because most mental health practitioners have acronyms after their names. So, whatever the acronym after their name is, and some of them have many acronyms, some of them only have one. It doesn't matter. It's still a very different role and education and process. So let's start with that basic difference of the therapist. So whatever the acronym is, isn't really the concern, but they're licensed to a state or a region. Now, some of them are in fact licensed to one state, and they only work with clients due to their I don't want to use the word law, but certification and procedures and ethics and all that to a license to a state, much like an attorney, right? Or a real estate professional or a mortgage professional, or many other professionals are location centric to their I hate to call it jurisdiction, right? Because that's more of a legal term, but their license examinations and maintaining their current license is location centric. So that's the number one basic, difference as far as where they practice and how that goes about. Whereas certified divorce coaches can come to this solution or help or being a part of the solution or helping the process through divorce from confusion to conclusion, because it really depends on where in the divorce that each client is coming or entering. Are they coming from the I've been thinking about this for 4 years at the very, very beginning, but I haven't told a soul, not even my best friend or sister or a neighbor, or nobody. It's just this scary little world they live in. Or they're almost divorced divorce and they don't know what to do after, healing, changing their name, dating, starting a business, moving, investing their finances securely and wisely. You can see how the entry points in this could be very, very varied, right? So
Mhm.
that depends. And also, divorce coaches come into it from a different spoke of the wheel because we don't focus on mental health.
Mhm.
Although we care about mental health, don't get me wrong. It's not like we say, yeah, that's not my problem, and there's blinders, kind of like those horses that they just have blinders on. We take the blinders off and see the whole kaleidoscope, 360 degrees of the procedure. So that's different. Now, some divorce coaches come to it from mental health.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean they're practicing mental health, but they come to it from that viewpoint, that mindset, that world. Some of them are burnt out litigators. In
Mhm.
fact, I worked with several couple in Canada and the West Coast area. I've been litigating for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I can't do this anymore. So they transition from the legal world into divorce coaching for whatever personal and professional reasons. It's different for everyone. Some of them come to it from, finance. Who knows? I could go through every genre and we don't have time, but you can see how that could play a different role. Now, a divorce coach's role isn't to just work in that one pocket or bucket, um, because that's the world they came into it. I came into it from a personal experience because people asked me, "Can you help me?" I'm not an attorney. I'm not a real estate expert. I'm not a mortgage professional. I'm not a realtor. You get the idea. But I came to it from a place of it pains me physically, mentally, emotionally to see and witness and hear people suffer and struggle and make mistakes that I could have supported. And I can't say solved or fixed, or it isn't my job to sprinkle magic pixie dust on it and make it go away, although I would like to. It is always my intent to make the experience better, more optimal, I like to say. So it's very different. So that would be another idea. Now, licensed therapists of whatever realm they come to also tend to look at it from a place of diagnosis, or looking at the past, where there's a little bit more of delving deeper into the problems, assisting with them identify the source of the problem and resolving them so that they no longer hold them back, whatever the problem is, right? So again, I'm not diagnosing what the problem is. And right, Tracy, that will be different for everyone. For some people, it could be abuse, addiction, trauma from a childhood. Who knows? Just stubbornness. Everybody's different. So that's more of like the focus of what a therapist would delve into, where they really are identifying thought and behavior patterns that are holding them back in many areas of their life so they can correct them and move on with a more successful pattern, because habituations and patterns and shall we say habits, just in general, tend to cycle. And when what's the definition of insanity? When we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, hence being in relationship after relationship after relationship that keeps repeating a pattern. So that's a little bit of more of like the trajectory of the goal of working with the therapist, is kind of looking at the past, identifying patterns and problems, and sort of learning new ways of viewing it and empowering them to name it, claim it, own it, and to do more healing work. Now, not to say that divorce coaches are not concerned with any of those issues. It wouldn't be my objective to say, none of that really matters. But there's very different goal when a divorce coach looks at the 360 degree of judicial, legal, financial, residential, where you're living, cohabitating, lending, mortgage, um, co-parenting, and the mental health aspects. from more of a wheel of life type of picture of what part of this is wrecking havoc. Like I call it Tetrising, where those little parts kind of sprinkle from the sky, and we have to find the right shape and move them into the right shape so that they become absorbed and acknowledged with a wide array. Because divorce is a spreadsheet on one side, and you've got to know all of your facts and sort of withdraw a little bit of the emotion out of it, and helping them really see that, where they're, using their attorney if they have one or they haven't entered into that part of it as a therapist, right? And they just keep getting these radically insane billable hours, and they wonder, what just happened to me? I thought it was going to be $2,500 and now it's 25,000, for an example. That's a real example. Now, we also want to play into that bowl of emotions so that they can see what triggers them. Like, what is that with the psychological, mental, emotional, and the physical aspects, letting them ruin their health and making bad decisions, trusting their partner to do the right things. There's so many mistakes that they fall into going back to those patterns. Now, I work in conjunction with many therapists all over the country because as soon as I see a client go down the rabbit hole of a mental health issue or an addiction issue or an abuse issue, or I always go, do you have a therapist? Or I usually say a counselor or someone because I don't want them to feel like they have to find a certain genre of person. So that's a little bit of an overall idea. Also, divorce coaches tend to be a resource for many other types of professionals each particular situation may or may not need. Now, you may be able to get by without an attorney. You may not, whether, depending on your situation, right? You may be able to get away with having just a CPA, but you may also need a certified divorce financial analyst, right? So, depending on how complex or simple your situation is, have you been married a year or 20? Are there minor children or are there no minor children? Are there complex financial, such as a business, a small business, a co-owned business, or are you both W-2 employees where everything is super transparent? You get your little W-2 at the end of the year and no mystery there. Is there a lot of debt involved? So these are the concerns that a therapist is not really worried about. And not to say that a therapist, or the ones I usually refer, are empathetic, excuse me, not apathetic, but empathetic to these concerns, but they're always going to look at it from a very different lens. So when I look at a situation, I litmus test it with them, of course, as to find out what professional they may or may not need. And also as a resource, be able to give referrals and testimonials and recommendations. Yes, emails and phone numbers. And even I do the introduction for them because that can be so uh, embarrassing, overwhelming, and scary to just, hi, I know you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but it's intimidating, right? So I could go on for days, but that's an overall about, if you have a therapist, this is the problem that you're going to focus on. And a divorce coach is really going to give you a more overall and keep you moving forward. It's always about making progress and solving a problem, because I'm also an alternative dispute resolution professional. So I'm always about mediation and thinking like, what would the judge say and how can we come to a resolution? Sometimes divorce coaching doesn't go into that realm, but because of that lens in my head, I'm always thinking, what can we do to help this person move forward and get unstuck?
Wow, that was a great description of them. What I find is in the differences is again, the therapist is that emotional support. They don't know what the judge is going to think. They don't know to tell you what to ask your lawyer. They don't know that what your ex is doing is this part of the law, or here's how you protect yourself, or you're seeing these patterns now in the divorce or the co-parenting and divorce. Let's get protection later. So it's a different skill set. And, as a narcissistic abuse coach slash divorce coach as well, I do deal with the emotions. I do help them in that arena, but again, every coach is going to be different. Everyone's going to have different skills, and you're a mediator. I'm not. Like, there's just different things, and everyone has things to offer. And I want to just like ask you about when the narcissist is gaslighting and using coercive control and lying on the stand and manipulating the situation. Can you give us a little insight as to how someone gets through that?
I would love to. And thank God, and I do mean that, not to pull in higher power here, that people like you exist, because this is a problem that is exacerbating, that is growing. It's pervasive. It's becoming I'm a kind of, I don't want to use the word happy, Tracy, but the word of the year 2024 was gaslighting. Amen, right? So it was like this, awakening or this opening eye of like so many people now. My husband even uses the word gaslighting. And I'm like, too much with me. So, but it makes me happy, giddy inside that we can now have these conversations about these kind of weird tactics and habits and tools that pain in the tail, high conflict, antagonistic, narcissistic type people use in what I call their toolbox. Now, if it's a woman and she's very feminine, I usually call it her makeup bag. But I say you have to have those 38 pieces of makeup in your makeup bag just in case you need them, and you're going to unzip it and decide, which one am I going to use to counteract the tool? Because you've got to always have, even if that's just to listen and say, I hear you, whatever it is. So I know we're kind of role playing with that silly one, but the whole gaslighting thing. So, but what's really important is for them to understand that even though they have all these annoying, painful, and damaging things they do. I always call them, hollow Easter egg bunnies. They're
Mhm.
like sparkly and pretty on the outside,
Yeah.
but on the inside, they're hollow, and they look the same on the shelf, right? I mean, you wouldn't know the difference between the hollow Easter egg bunny and the solid one if they were on a shelf, because they have the purple and yellow and what other color, pink or green sparkly foil on them, other than the price. Right? But if you're just gazing, you'd be like, well, there's no difference. You don't know what the difference, but on the inside, they're hollow on the inside, and they're always filling themselves up because they can't get their own validation from the inside out. They have to suck it in from the outside in. And just that little visual of some people that isn't aware of narcissistic behavior goes, oh, I never really thought of it that way. And then I usually send them a little Easter egg bunny because I've got a whole case of them. They're usually stale. I tell them not to eat them. Just as a reminder, I said, put the little bunny on your window shelf so you can be, aha, remember what the bunny is. But the good thing about all this, hollowness is that they're predictable. They're endlessly predictable. So once you get educated about the stuff they do and the annoying habits and the all the things that Tracy's going to teach you, because you got to read her book. So I've read it like 5 times. So it's wonderful. I love how you have a little quotes, and I go, yep, yep. It's like required reading for all of my high conflict clients that are going to trial, because I am a trial expert. That, like, if you're going through a trial, call me. I can, I will hold your hand, lock arms with you, put on a wig, and do everything I can to, be you. Not really, I'm joking, but so because it's so emotional, but they are so predictable. You know what they're going to do.
Mhm.
If you've
Oh,
educated yourself and you
yeah.
understand the BS, pardon me, don't want to use any inappropriate language, but and as soon as they do it, you've got your checklist and you go, oh, know what that is. Now, you're not going to say that to them, but in your little brain or with your divorce coach, you're going to go, you're not going to believe what they just did. So they're predictable. You know what they're going to do, and they're going to do it. Now, you may not know which one of the tactics they're going to do, but Once you get wise to it, you're in the know and you feel empowered and confident and strong and resilient and knowledgeable, which turns into what I like to think of as wisdom, because knowledge is book smart, but wisdom is action and life smart. It does no good to know how to swim by reading about it. You're
Yes.
going to drown. You got to get in the damn pool. You got to get in the pool and swim. You got to feel it and get out and feel your emotions and talk it out and journal it and write it and learn so that you can start to apply everything you learn. But that's the good thing. If there's one good thing narcissists do, they're predictable.
Predictable is the most amazing. Like again, once you know what to expect, but again, when you're in a divorce, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I have a quote on the back of my book saying, if you are aware, then you can prepare. Like if you have no idea, it's blindside, blindside. Oh my God, oh my God. If you go, oh God, of course they're doing that. That's chapter 3, right? You just start to go, I get it. And
Page 42. I know that one.
it helps you not personalize it because it's just out of the book. It's checklist. So
Well, it's hard though, and that's a wonderful point. And I just to dip a little bit, because you use don't personalize it.
yeah,
Ugh, that's hard. That's something you're going to have to do with your divorce coach. Because if you're going through this, Tracy and I can, as professionals and in the swamp of all this every day, we can be more, casual about this. But when you are going through this, everything is emotional and personal. And you really do feel like you're the only person in the world that's getting divorced, or the only person that's thinking about it, the only person that's strategizing and learning and planning and trying to strategize and leverage and learn, or wherever you are in your journey. And you feel so alone. But if you feel that you have a community or an expert in your back pocket, or in an email or a phone call or a Zoom or a FaceTime or coffee shop or whatever your situation is, and your relationship with the professionals that you've chosen, suddenly you go, oh, I thought I was the big bad wolf or the problem, right? And not to say that we're not all responsible for the part we play in the demise of our relationship. We all have to own some, even if it's just the fact that you didn't want to talk about it or think about it or closed your eyes and said, nope, everything's okay. I'm great.
mhm,
See, I'm fine. I did that for 10 years. I was like, I don't know what the problem is. That's so, I had all this hope that it would change. I had all this fear of like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to make a mistake. And it's debilitating and it freezes you. But as soon as you have that safe, sacred container, it does liberate you to feel unencumbered and unburdened from feeling alone.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Paulette, this has been so helpful to understand the coaching in the divorce arena. Can you tell people how to find you?
Absolutely easy. BetterDivorceAcademy.com. Everything's there. My podcast, my book, my workbook, my audiobook, blog. I'm on Substack. You name it. I'm out there. I am here to help anyone either mediate their case. I work with clients couples who want to avoid all things litigation, and I work with individuals who are typically going through trials and appeals.
Thank you so much for joining me.
My honor.
I hope you found that helpful. Paulette is a wealth of information, and learning about what a coach does could change your divorce, could change the trajectory of your mental health, as well as what how you handle your lawyer, what you ask for, what you need. So I'll put all her details down below. And if you are looking for some additional support when you are divorcing a narcissist, don't forget that I am the author of Divorcing Your Narcissist. You can't make this shit up. I will see you again next time. This is Tracy. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and let's leave some comments down here. Let's have the conversation going. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.